The two men had merely mocked the sumo wrestler for being fat. After leaving, however, they discovered the sumo wrestler was following them. Initially, they thought he was just heading in the same direction, but after turning a corner, the sumo wrestler suddenly quickened his pace and began chasing them. Realizing something was wrong, the two men ran at full speed toward a nearby alley. After several turns, they thought they had lost the sumo wrestler, but just as they turned around, they found a massive figure charging toward them. Terrified, the two could only continue fleeing. Despite his large frame, the sumo wrestler was surprisingly fast. Fortunately, when they crossed a street, a taxi blocked the sumo wrestler's path, creating some distance between them. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Jack pulled Sam into a basement. By then, the sumo wrestler had caught up and removed his shoes, standing guard at the entrance. It turned out to be a members-only club that the sumo wrestler couldn't enter. After 4 hours, they assumed the sumo wrestler had long since left. To their surprise, however, he was still waiting across the street. He was even doing warm-up exercises, his massive movements seeming to shake the ground like an earthquake. The sumo wrestler turned around just as the two men emerged and immediately charged toward them. They had no choice but to continue running. Since the sumo wrestler had removed his shoes, he had become even faster. Using their agility to their advantage, the two men weaved through narrow alleys and quickly gained distance from the sumo wrestler. However, because they were running so fast, both parties accidentally collided with objects, bringing them closer together again. Suddenly, a narrow gap appeared. Without hesitation, the two men squeezed through it. Surely the sumo wrestler couldn't follow them through there. After passing through the narrow alley, they spotted a police booth and rushed toward it, but there was no officer inside. A sign on the desk read, "Out on patrol." Before Jack could finish making the emergency call, Sam ran out in terror. The sumo wrestler had found them. Jack had no time to think and could only follow Sam out. The sumo wrestler charged at them like a truck. Sam crashed into a street sign and fell to the ground. Jack couldn't save him in time. The sumo wrestler quickly reached Sam and stopped in front of him. Jack was terrified and hid wherever he could find cover. Just then, his phone rang. It was his wife calling. She scolded him for not coming home yet. Jack hung up without explanation. Suddenly, Sam came running over. Jack asked in surprise what had happened. It turned out the sumo wrestler's target wasn't Sam, but Jack, who had mocked him. At that moment, the sumo wrestler found them again. The two men climbed over a railing and quickly squeezed onto a bus. They thought they had successfully escaped the sumo wrestler, but when Jack looked toward the front of the bus, the sumo wrestler had also boarded. Perhaps because the bus was crowded, the sumo wrestler didn't attack them. Jack felt utterly hopeless, but suddenly seemed to think of something. The two men approached the sumo wrestler and sincerely apologized to him. However, the sumo wrestler remained stern-faced and said nothing. His expression frightened them. He seemed to have no intention of reconciling. The two men got off at the next stop. As expected, the sumo wrestler followed them off the bus. After fleeing all night, both men were exhausted. Sam collapsed to the ground. Since they couldn't escape, they decided to fight the sumo wrestler. Sam picked up a shovel from the roadside. With no better options left, the two men decided to take up shovels and ambush the sumo wrestler from behind a truck, waiting for his arrival.